On Petuashte, everybody. Tatea akwalawi lakotia imachiapi na Kelsey Scott washichuye imachiapi. Good day, everybody. My name is Kelsey Scott. My Lakota name is Soft Little Breeze Woman. I have the distinct privilege of being able to serve as the Chief Strategy Officer for the Intertribal Agriculture Council. Today, joining me on stage for a tremendously exciting announcement, formal public announcement on our stage here this year, is Undersecretary Jennifer Moffitt, as well as IAC CEO Kari Lawrence. In May of 2023, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced the creation of 12 new USDA regional food business centers. These centers will provide national coverage coordination, technical assistance, and capacity building to help farmers, ranchers, and other food businesses access new markets and navigate federal, state, and local resources, thereby closing the gaps to success. In addition, the USDA will ensure that this is a collaborative effort, that there is a meaningful and resounding impact that will care for the future generations of our food system. A nearly $400 million investment will support producers by providing localized assistance to access a variety of markets, including linking producers to wholesalers and distributors. I'm very excited to announce that the Intertribal Agriculture Council was identified to support the build-out of the National Intertribal Food Business Center. Today, there we go. Today, in helping us to celebrate those remarks, we will first welcome to the stage Kari Lawrence, who you all have had a chance to meet, and then Undersecretary of Marketing and Regulatory Programs, Jenny Lester Moffitt. Jenny Lester Moffitt is the Undersecretary for the Marketing and Regulatory Programs at the United States Department of Agriculture. Previously, she served as the Undersecretary at the California Department of Food and Agriculture from 2018 to 2001, and Deputy Secretary from 2015 to 2018. Prior, Moffitt spent 10 years as Managing Director at Dixon Ridge Farms, her family's organic walnut farm and processing operation. Growing up and working the farm, Moffitt learned firsthand the importance of taking care of the land and the people who farm it. Additionally, she served on the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Board from 2012 to 2015 and worked for American Farmland Trust from 2002 to 2005. As a farmer and policymaker, Moffitt has engaged with agricultural stakeholders on the critically important balance of sustaining our environment, strengthening our rural economies, and building healthy communities. Moffitt is a graduate of Brown University and the California Agricultural Leadership Program. She resides in Washington, D.C. with her husband, a public school educator, and their teenage daughter. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our CEO, Kari Lawrence, to present some remarks on behalf of the Intertribal Food Business Center, and then we will proceed on for remarks from Undersecretary Moffitt.
Fantastic, thank you. It is a distinct privilege to be standing before you today to make this formal announcement about the National Intertribal Food Business Center. There was a multi-team effort coordinated by the IAC's advancement team to secure this award. The entire team navigated a robust application amidst one of the most challenging and busy times of the year for us, as the application deadline just so happened to be coincide with the 2022 conference. So it was a very, very busy time. But that small and mighty team was presented with navigating the logistical challenges, while at the same time having to be the out-of-the-box dreamers and in designing the proposal. As they often do, our advancement team rose to the occasion, and they truly put their heart and soul into crafting a project proposal that would resonate with the USDA's call for applications, while also serving the needs of Indian food systems across the entire nation. I would like to take a moment to recognize these team members individually. I hope they are in the audience. If you could please stand up. I can't see. Very good. But I just would like to give them a round of applause if they so happen to be in the room. So thank you. Thank you, IAC team, our advancement team. And I just so happened to be in this very city when I caught wind that the IAC was a finalist for this. From that moment on, we knew that this momentous investment, such as this one, needed to be celebrated on a large stage. So, it's representative of the folks that we do this work for. As our stakeholders, our tribal producers, our leaders, the community members that we do this work for, and your ability to thrive in revitalizing native foodways through historical lack of resources and service is exactly why we are still here today doing this work. We're still stewarding our lands. We're still feeding our people. We're still caring for the future generations to come. So it seemed fitting that we celebrate this momentous USDA investment in Indian food systems with you all today on the stage at IAC's annual conference. With over 35 years of experience in food and business development work, IAC is excited about this opportunity to expand access to native food producers and tribal food systems that empower self-determination in Indian country. Our collaboration with the USDA will heal broken food systems and build sustainable economic growth for our communities. But we can't do this work alone. IAC will partner with other Native organizations throughout this project, including Akiptan, the Indian Land Tenure Foundation, and the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative. This is a momentous occasion, not only for the IAC, but also our partners. Would our partners in the audience please stand up as well? I think IFAI is around. There they are up there. So thank you so much. Together, over the next 4.5 years, IAC and our partners will work hand in hand with the USDA to develop a coordinated national food system. It's a national food system development plan and expansion of American Indian and Alaska Native food businesses. Our collective focus will be on crafting dynamic solutions to the needs of small and mid-sized food and farm businesses. We'll work together to deploy nearly 70% of this project's total funding for capacity building awards. The additional partner that we need in this work is all of you, our stakeholders. We need your input to craft, to inform, and refine the ways in which the Intertribal Food Business Centers can be institutionalized as a mainstay support mechanism for the generations to come. We'll be calling on all of you to direct input through a needs assessment. We're going to be doing a needs assessment survey in the new year, and we're counting on you all to speak up. I encourage each of you to stop by the IAC information booth and all of our partners responsible for building out our Intertribal Food Business Center during your time at the conference. Introduce yourself, orient yourself to our existing programming as well. We have a lot of good work to do together over the next few years. And as the saying goes, with all good things, they demand work. We have our work cut out for us, for sure, over the next few years, as we plan for some really lofty goals for the Intertribal Food Business Center. But now, more than ever, my team is ready and honored to have a seat at the table informing how this administration's efforts can craft a better, healthier, more regenerative food system for America. And thanks to the USDA's trust in us, we'll be able to ensure that Indian food and farm businesses are well represented and served, triggering a multi-generational economic impact in Indian country. So, thank you.
Thank you all, and I'm really thrilled to be here and to join you. It is such an honor for me to join you, the Intertribal Agricultural Council, at your annual conference. as I listened this morning to President Bulio talking about the history and the long-standing stewards that that tribal producers, that tribal governments, that tribes across the country have had from the beginning of time here on this continent, the original stewards of the land, practicing regenerative practices that now we have an opportunity to learn from you. Also, looking at how food sovereignty is such a critical component to how we produce food, how we feed our communities, how we really grow and thrive within our region, and food is really the crux of this. The Biden-Harris administration has called USDA to rethink how we're managing our programs in a way that better reflects how you do business. And I think what's really interesting as I was preparing for coming to this conference was learning about the history of the Intertribal Ag Council, the almost 40-year history that you have. And Secretary Vilsack talks about how we have these pivotal moments in American history. And he talks about pivotal moments all throughout. And as I was learning and understanding how the Intertribal Ag Council came to fruition, understanding that the Intertribal Ag Council came to fruition as a result of the 1980s farm crisis. And that was definitely a pivotal moment in history. It was a pivotal moment for many different ways for producers with the farm crisis, and to see how tribal governments, how tribes came together, tribal producers came together to find a better way forward, to find a way forward that meant that tribal producers, tribal governments, tribal opportunities continued to reflect what was so important to the communities. And we talk about these pivotal moments because we've yet again had another pivotal moment that I know you all know so well and still are dealing with, which is the beginning of the COVID pandemic and the supply chain disruptions and what that meant. And in my job, I've been at USDA now for 2.5 years, and it has been a learning journey for me to understand and to hear from Indian country about what the pandemic, what the disruptions in food supply meant, and how tribes have moved forward in a way that has really been focused on food sovereignty. My first trip to Indian country was to Oklahoma, where I was able to join the Loop Square Meat Company ribbon cutting at Muskogee Nation, and then later that day also was able to visit Osage Nation to see their meat processing and greenhouse facilities and to hear from them about what they're doing so that they don't get put in that position yet again where they are struggling to find and get access to critical, one of the most important critical components that we all need, which is food, and to really look at how do we actually move forward as a community. How do those tribes and those regions move forward in a way that doesn't just address food sovereignty, but does it in a way that promotes tribal self-determination, that does so in a way that really promotes tribal and native foods. It's been a learning journey for me. It's been a learning journey for all of us. And I really appreciate the conversations that we've had. I've heard from both nations about the importance and work of tribal food sovereignty and the need for direct assistance and capacity to build tribal food systems and market opportunities. And so as we started to develop the Regional Food Business Center, what was core to all of us at USDA, from Secretary Vilsack all throughout, was the importance and the need for a national intertribal food business center. So we're really excited today to be standing here with IAC, with Kari Jo, with Kelsey, with all of you to be able to announce the launch of this new Tribal Foods Business Center. This is about building the capacity, the technical assistance capacity, the market capacity to be able to promote tribal food businesses, to be able to promote not just and increase access to funds that USDA and other federal opportunities, but also to address different barriers along the way to be able to get tribally produced food into more market channels across the United States and of course in international channels as well. So we're excited about this announcement that we have today for the regional food business centers. And again, core to it, we have 12 centers across the country, and core is one of those 12 centers, is this National Intertribal Food Business Center. We've been on a journey together at USDA and at the Agricultural Marketing Services and all of the programs that we have across the food system that USDA covers between the Agricultural Marketing Services and Food Safety, as well as Food and Nutrition Services, Rural Development, all of us working together to make sure that our programs better serve tribal producers, better serve tribal governments, better serve Indian country. And so we've been on this journey, and one of the first things we did was we announced a new local food purchase assistance program. And I use this example to say we're really working on how we adjust and how we look at the work that we do at USDA in a new light, hearing from you all, hearing from tribal governments, hearing from Indian country about where the barriers are and how can we specifically address those barriers, remove barriers, so that Indian country has better access to USDA as a whole. And the local food purchase assistance was the first start. Any of you who have been participating, hopefully, in the local food purchase assistance, we did a first round of funding, and we thought we had a great plan for how to administer the funds and make sure that tribal governments had opportunity to participate. And what we learned in that first round of funding, that was only 24 million of the funds that we had available ended up going toward tribal governments. We heard from producers, we heard from tribal governments. It was actually at about a little over a year ago that Muskogee Nation came to me and said, hey, here's some information, here's some data about how the way that you've distributed funds is not working, is not best serving Indian country. We listened, we heard, and in our next round of funding, we did a specific carve-out for Indian country, did a specific carve-out for tribal nations of $100 million. And I'm really excited today to be able to announce that that carve-out that we did of $100 million that we announced a year ago is, in fact, we were able to increase that to $112 million. Local food purchase assistance is about empowering tribes, tribal governments with funding to be able to buy from producers, to be able to do exactly what's needed in each region, right? We know, and I know very well, I come from agriculture myself, that it is a regional approach. It is very place-based approach. What different tribes need and want, and what foods they want to have is unique to each of the different nations. And I think that is such a critical part. And what the producers have available as well, buying in smaller quantities, being able to buy at the right time, the right place, being able to distribute the food in a way that is that best serves the consumer's needs as well is really critical. We're now working at the Agricultural Marketing Services and in partnership with Food and Nutrition Services at looking at how we do procurement at writ large. So the investment through local food purchase assistance is important because it gives tribes the money to be able to do the purchases that they want to do, which is great. But we also know we have a huge purchasing power at USDA. We're buying over $3 billion worth of food a year. $3 billion of food. So the power of purchasing there is incredible. However, tribes have not always had, and tribal producers have not always had access to that purchasing power. And through consultation, we've learned a lot. We used to require a financial audit. Any of you in the room who've tried to sell to USDA Foods knows that this financial audit was a huge barrier at a cost of something like $20,000. Sometimes when you're wanting to sell $20,000 of food to USDA Food, it clearly does not pencil out. So we've removed that barrier, and that was because of feedback that we heard from our consultations and from communication. We're also looking at how we do food purchases, recognizing all the other barriers. So last month, we were able to announce a bison pilot project. This is about addressing some of the barriers that we have in USDA food, buying in smaller quantities, making sure that we're buying bison at the right time of the year when bison is actually harvested by tribal producers, making sure that we're distributing that into local markets as well, into local tribes. All of these different things. We do not have Indian tribal preferences, but we've been able to look at things like hub zones as a way to be able to make sure that we do and are able to really prefer to buy from tribes as a way to do that. So I think that is really key. The key thing here that I'm trying to say is that we're learning and we're hearing from you. And what is really important is as we learn, and as I go through my own journey of learning from tribal producers and tribal governments, is that we implement that. And so we've been implementing that through the way that we purchase. We're also implementing that through the way that we support tribes in market development. So I'm really excited that, of course, and we have some folks here from the Foreign Ag Service, that next year USDA is going to bring tribal food producers and tribal food product to the international trade shows. USDA is going to actually host its first agribusiness trade mission that focuses only on native food products. Yeah. This is about promoting native food products. This is about, and I'm sure many of you who were able to participate last week at the White House Tribal Summit also saw the work that we're doing across the board, across USDA and across government to promote native food as well. We're also, and what's key is through all of this is before we can sell products, before we have that opportunity to sell products, and I know as a producer myself, we have to have the important value-added infrastructure. So we've launched and just announced the first round of funding. Secretary Vilsack announced at the Tribal Nation Summit the first round of funding for the Indigenous Animals Grant. This is able to leverage the pre-existing relationship that we have through the Meat and Poultry Processing Technical Assistance Program, through the Intertribal Business Council, Agricultural Council, to make sure that we have free technical assistance across Indian country. So we've announced the first 4 recipients of awards, and we will continue to announce more through the Indigenous Animals and Grant Program. And that is critical, right? What's critical, and the things that I've learned from my dad and my family working in agriculture, is that it is a system. We must take a systems approach to all that we do. We can build the capacity and we can drive the demand, and we must adjust what we do at USDA through how we purchase food to better serve Indian country, but we also need to make sure Indian country has the infrastructure to meet that need. And so that is what the Indigenous Animals Grant does, and that is what the regional food business centers will do. So again, I'm really excited about the opportunity today to announce the Intertribal Food Business Center. As I mentioned from the beginning, and as Kari Jo talked about with the Intertribal Food Business Center, the Intertribal Food Business Centers are really about putting funds back into tribal communities and opportunities back into tribal communities to be able to address the need of food sovereignty, to be able to actually empower tribal producers to have access to new markets. We talk about more new and better markets, but we don't get there alone as producers. We get there with support from USDA, we get there from support from our tribal governments, we get there with support from Intertribal Ag Council, and so we're excited about this center and the opportunities that it will have for producers. It's going to provide direct technical one-on-one assistance for producers. So when a producer has an idea of how they want to bring product to market, they will be able to go to the center and be able to walk through all the different steps of how and what is needed to get product from farm to market. That is really critical to maintain those viable businesses, and to have technical assistance at no cost to you is critical. The centers are also going to have capacity building. So they're going to have what we call business builder grants. Grants of up to $100,000 for tribal producers to be able to actually implement the plan that they have received technical assistance to do. That might be things like a packaging machine. That might be things like all of the different things you can think of that you can do with $100,000. This is really critical money to take your project from one step to the next step. We're excited about the opportunities that are going to come out of this. We're excited about the partnership. We're excited about making sure that as USDA, as we advance our work on building more new and better markets, we do it with tribal producers at the table. We do it with making a concerted effort to support tribal producers, and so that is where the Intertribal Food Business Center is such an important part of that. So I'll stop there and say thank you for the opportunity for me to share this announcement with you. We're looking forward to seeing the incredible opportunities for all producers across the country, across all the nations, to really be able to create a food system that is redesign a creative food system that really meets the needs that you talked about, Mr. President, when you were talking about the food system that has been around for so many eons of time for tribal food sovereignty and tribal self-determination. So we're excited about these opportunities, and I am really pleased to be here to be able to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you again so much to Undersecretary Moffitt and CEO Kari Jo Lawrence for joining us on stage here. And again, thank you all. I don't know if you hearing the word food as many times as I got to during that session has gotten you hungry yet or not, but I know we're getting a lot closer to that. And so we're looking forward to having a chance to celebrate the growth and the progress that we've made in supporting food business development out there across the country with our upcoming luncheon. And we look forward to knowing each year here and after the support of the Intertribal Food Business Center and you all as producers, as community food systems stewards are going to be helping us to grow that luncheon to be even bigger and to have luncheons all across the country all year long that celebrate the great and phenomenal work that you all do day in and day out as producers. So thank you guys.